Maybe I won't look as sick if I put on an apron that's cute. We're both sick. I tied it too loose. That's a first. David and I are both sick, and it's not flu. It's not the coof. Seems to be sinus crap. But here's the funny thing: everyone in my town and everyone in the Upper Cumberland region has been sick since there was some strange fogs. We'll just say that. I just did a whole pass a load of dishes, but I need to move in because I can't get a good view over there. Sorry. All my dishes I just did. Did all those dishes right then. Also, I cut my hair off, and y'all can see it styled later, but I couldn't deal with it, y'all. I've got like 15 cowlicks right down the front where I've just been resting and trying to get some stuff done just because I don't feel well. I wish that light would not do that. It makes me so mad that it does that. Let's do this. Will that help? Well, heck no. Anyway, David and I are both sick, and it's just this sinusy drainage thing. I think he's actually running a fever today. I think he's just turning into a sinusitis, rhinitis issue. Mine is just drainage, and I don't feel that bad, but it's not flu. It's not COVID. It is what everybody up here and in the Upper Cumberland area has been having. It's just some kind of sinus issue crap. Oh, that's okay. Everybody gets sick every once in a while. But the funny thing is that we all noticed some heavy, heavy, dense fogs to the point of there were some wrecks in the area because it was like too dense hanging on the mountain. And then voila, like 75% of the county's sick, which is very strange. It actually is a cute shag cut when I have it fixed, but it's cowlick to heck and back today. So everybody is now talking about why are we all sick, and why is it not anything that can be treated? It just seems, to be some kind of weird viral infection or a sinus infection. And for most people, even if they're given antibiotics, it's not doing anything, which would mean it's probably a viral infection. Let me see if this helps me any at all. Not really. So I was supposed to go down the hill and visit, but I'm certainly not going to have this around Mom. Mom got a lucky break and got in for her MRI on her hip today instead of in a couple of days because the weather's supposed to turn here and it's going to snow. I really don't know why I still live on the crag of the hill. I need to move. Anyway, we're all sick, and we're all now talking about this as a community going, those fogs were really not correct. Those fogs were too dense. We get bad fog sometimes because it hangs on the hills, but this was like a foam mattress layer hanging in the sky. That's all you can say it was. Everybody's been talking about headaches, and I've been having cluster migraines again with all this drainage. And David hardly ever gets sick. He got sick before I did, but he was out in all that trapping. And so obviously he got sick before I did. And I'm trying to make him comfort food when he gets home, just some pot pies and some mac and cheese with butter. Just let him have some comfort food tonight. And I'm going to have a protein shake. You're sitting on my protein shake bottle. But we all are now putting it together that it's highly unnatural, and that a lot of these really weird fogs occurred right around the time that they were going after Venezuela and creating some conditions that were best suited for handling the Venezuela issue. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mind that we finally have a president that does not want to work with the cartel. I'm okay with that because we never should have stuck our pitties in that puddle anywhere. That's a no-no. So I'm great that we're trying to get a handle on this. I don't think it will ever happen because it's gotten so far out of hand. And really, honestly, if you look through history, the best country at peddling various things in that regard has been Great Britain. If you look at the rain and you look at the things that have occurred and you look at the pathways to how things come in, I'm just going to say, look at it. Put it all together. So all this started around the time that the Venezuela thing started. And oddly enough, since the Venezuela thing started, of course, we've had the Minnesota Ilhan Omar. Oh my God, that woman is so vapid. I think probably, like she might have two brain cells within her right before she takes a dump, and then they probably evacuate. This woman, this woman, and I don't hate any particular kind of person or any country or any nation, but I will look at behaviors within those countries and go, that needs to be worked on. In Somalia, in that region, in that region, a lot of eastern regions, there is just a heavy-handed pirating way of life. It has been there since all of the trades began way back in the day. Great Britain took advantage of it. Spain took advantage of it. These places have made more money by selling themselves out and each other out than they've ever made by an honest living. And that just is a historical fact. I mean, you can fuss with me in the comments if you want to. Well, I'm really not going to fuss. But you can say something in the comments if you want to. But they have heavily just been a pirating nation to where they sell each other out. They've even sold their own people. Or they will sell their own resources like behind each other's back. Or they'll just go in and take control of the neighboring group and strip them of what they've earned. And so for me to sit back and say, well, all through history we watched this region and a lot of these regions do this as a predominant way of life, and now we're surprised that when they come to our country and they don't want to assimilate, and they don't want to really be here, they're not going to support us if we go to war. They say all these things outright. Why are we so amused and clutching our proverbial pearls when they say, oh yeah, well, we're going to rob you while you ain't looking? I mean, it's kind of like, duh, we half of us just sitting at home wondering what they's taking, because they ain't coming over here you just have to live the high life, because America's not the high life anymore unless you don't have qualms about certain things. Then you can live pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I live pretty simple, so I don't know. Y'all, if y'all ever get to the good life, let me know. Let me know. I'm curious. I cannot. Do you know that in Ohio there was one village? It was still labeled as a village that had 87% of its occupants. It increased 87% by, y'all can Google this, and if I can remember the village name, if it didn't feel like crap, I probably could, because we talked about this before. It had an 87% increase. So whatever it was almost 200% of its original population, and it was all young men from a specific African region. And they all came to America and ended up in 40 miles of each other? Sure. Do you know that now that community has lost a lot of its apartment complexes? They're being rooted out. A lot of the businesses are being pushed out. A lot of the churches are being shut down. People are pulling their kids out, moving, because of the behavior of the new occupants, because they're very harsh and vicious and they don't follow rules, and what they want they take. Well, gee, are we surprised if you come from a place that doesn't have any manners? Are you going to miraculously come here and learn them? Probably not, if it's not on your radar. And that's what we have to stress, is the assimilation to a nation is so important, because you have to want to be here, and you have to want to reflect the morals and the views of the nation you are in. And I'm sorry, but that ain't happening right now. And it's kind of peeving me off when you find out that, it's all the time you're being fleeced. And as poor as I am, and as poor as David and I are, there are years we end up paying into the IRS, and I'm like, I don't see how this could be happening, because y'all, we're poor. I mean, we're poor. And they still want more. And I have questions, and I ask them questions. They don't like me very much, but I ask them questions. And I ask other people questions that have businesses, and I'm like, what are you doing? How do you do this? And they're like, you have to learn the rules and the loopholes. I've never had a loophole mind. I never have, because I don't like to be caught in things and go, whoa, 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 I didn't know that. I like to know the rules, follow them, so that I don't get caught in anything, because I don't like people to look at me and wonder what I'm up to. I don't like you to wonder about my motive. I don't like people to question what I'm doing. And so I've just never been a loophole finder, because it doesn't appeal to me. It appeals to about 99.9% of our Congress. That's sad to say. And it appeals apparently to a lot of Minnesotans as well. And I tell you what, you remember when I told you a few months ago at this point, that the left and the extreme polarized left especially, they don't win arguments through logic, scientific data, facts, research, dialogue, or even debate. They win through exhaustion. So we're having these lawyers go on TV and completely lie to the public. And they do it by just barely curving the pylons in the law. To skip a couple of nuances, to say something that they could say, well, technically it was right. Well, technically it was right, but in this instance that technicality would not apply. And so there was a lawyer that was like, oh, yeah, a federal agent can't pull you over for a traffic stop. Yeah, they can. Yeah, if they have any idea that what you're doing has any kind of bucking the federal law in any way, oh yeah, they can pull you over. And then if they find you doing something else, they can charge you for that too. Everybody's like, well, the state's going to take this police officer to court. I don't see that happening unless they try to really downgrade it and just kind of keep a piss party going on. Sorry, I'm just going to be completely honest tonight. I don't feel well, and it's just going to come out. Why, Elizabeth? Why do you say that? Because a lot of details are coming out about this lady that was like hours away from her home, that had become an activist through a student-parent system that had been set up. How vicious to use parents and children in this way. And that they had basically taken a trip as a field day, thinking this was going to be fun and something to basically put on their status of social media, icons. They never thought in a million years that what occurred would occur, because they don't understand the law, and they don't understand the responses that law enforcement will have, because they've lived in this delusional land where people have lied to them, and they've been okay being lied to, so they've never found out the truth, even though people have been looking at them and going, no, that's not right. But they like the lie so well, they don't want to find out the truth. And so when you get in arguments, they don't have any kind of knowledge. They don't make any kind of sense. They don't have any kind of facts. They can't even have a dialogue. You saw the way she was speaking to that cop. There was no dialogue there. That was Beanie Rooster behavior. Beanie Rooster, toddler tantrum, shit-fit behavior. And I'm sorry, that's just exactly what it was. I wouldn't let my 3-year-old act like that, let alone a grown woman. But here's the thing. You don't sit in the road for 3 to 5 minutes honking your horn and creating an issue when you see a huge federal operation going on around you. You don't block a road. The lawyer's like, but she was allowing people to go around her. It don't freaking matter. She was across the yellow center line this way, you hooch. That is in no way a legal driving protocol. It's just like, and I'm sitting home going, how many stupid people are swallowing this? Just right down it goes. A lot. But if you listen to the longer videos, if you have the stomach for it, you'll hear the girlfriend. They were not married. They keep calling themselves de facto wives. I don't know what that means. I guess it's another one of those nuances that they like to create. You're either married or you're not. Like, you either done the paperwork or you're not. But if you listen to the long version, you will hear the other lady when she says, drive, baby, drive, and then you hear the shots. After you hear the thump, you hear the shots. You will hear her scream. Why did you have real bullets? I didn't know police officers carried Nerf guns. But they say that they are trained opposition for these ICE attacks. You ain't trained very well if you don't know that they're packing heat. And that gives me the slight assumption that you probably don't need to be mixed up in that crap if you can't figure that out by now. Because, God help you, that's a pretty simple thing. I mean, somebody got a Glock or something, 40-45 on their hip. Logically, it's loaded. They're going after high-level offenders. Logically, it's loaded. Yeah. But she screamed, "Why would you have real bullets?" They were LARPing. Someone lost their life because they were LARPing. They were LARPing. They didn't understand the law. They didn't understand the legal response. They didn't understand the continuum of force that police officers are allowed to engage in. They said that they were trained, operatives for this, ICE thing. No. I've seen crooked correction officers, have a better understanding of, the legal law. And sorry, correction officers, but y'all just don't. It's just because y'all are in the, in the system. Y'all ain't outside. And so correction officers would not understand the law. They wouldn't understand why somebody was there. They wouldn't understand the prosecutorial process. They wouldn't understand any of that. So they just understood the prison environment. Luna, go sit down. No, you're not going out right now. You're going to wait for Daddy. And so I don't know, but it boggles my mind. But what woman, my age or more, that had been on this earth for a half century, would not expect a gun to have real bullets in it when it was on the hip of a police officer? They're not police officers. Yes, they are. They raise their hand. They do their pledge. They take their oath. It's the same freaking thing. They enforce just a different stratus, but it also has an umbrella effect where they can basically do it all. But I don't think this is going to get prosecuted in the state court. Well, everybody's like, why? Surely the state will go after this man. Because there's been so much come out about these school systems that were up to 3, 4, 5 hours away training parents as attack hounds. And it's not even really attack hounds, it's sight hounds, because they don't even understand what they're doing. They just see and they hang on. And they're going to look into that. And they know that if they go into a court process where discovery is going to be given and it's going to be expected and it's not given to the level that they know it can be given to, there's going to be a lot come out on record. And it's going to tell a lot of their secrets. And they don't want that to occur. They don't want the lid off this any more than it's already off of it, y'all. They don't. But in Minnesota, now they've got people with yellow vests, not the police officers, handling the traffic, telling people who can and cannot be having motor vehicles on the road and walking the sidewalks. Do you go home and shave a little mustache too? Because that's who you're acting like. I don't know why they keep throwing that word at us. Lord have mercy. But I just sit at home on my couch and I go, a basic understanding of even third grade social studies would have you understand these things. And I'm just sitting here going, it's horrible that somebody is so willing to reduce themselves to a group mentality that they forget to think for themselves about their own mortality. Because I'm here to tell you, y'all know how I go. I tell you, big emotions normally get you into big problems. Because if they want big emotions, they want big control. And that's why when the news is doing big emotions, I'm like, you want something from me and you're not going to get it. And so I just sit back and I'm like, whoo, people are stupid. But these people fall into it. And then they feel these big emotions. But the only thing they can follow through with is anger. But here's the kicker. If they really thought the people that they were battling were the murderous, horrible, vicious, like truly crazy, psychotic people they think they are, they wouldn't be out there yelling at them and provoking them. They'd be at home with the door shut, shaking in the corner, going, oh crap, the world I live in. So they lie to themselves, lie to everybody else. They LARP, they get in trouble, and then they blame everybody else. And I'm sorry, but I didn't take half of America to do this right here. it'll pop you off your mama's titty. Break the suction, just like that. A lot of people need to do that right now. So I don't have anything else to say about this. I don't want anybody to get hurt or killed. I don't want anybody to lose their life. I also don't want people to be so happy being ignorant that they put themselves in dramatically erroneous places willingly. But I can't change others. I can't make their decisions. So I have to live in a world where everybody can be stupid. And I'm sorry. Can't stop you from being stupid. Wish you could. The world would be a lot better place if I could. Let me let Luna out. Luna, you go poo-poo? Go kiki poo-poo? Okay. I'm going to leave the door open. You come right back. Don't you run off. Hurry, I see a car. Don't know if it's coming down this way or not. Come on. Woo, good girl. Not here or nothing. All right, now go sit down. Go to the chair. So anyway, that's about how I feel about that. Everybody's been talking to me about that and all this crap. So those are things that I've been wheeling around in my mind. But I get, and then, you look at what's going on in Iran, where there truly are people protesting a truly psychotic government that have been in the trenches of hell like we've never known. And they're all just quiet right now about that, but they'll scream for any other reason, but they're all quiet about that right now. But they're doing all this to deflect, to get you concerned about all these things, to take your mind off what's been going on. They've been stealing you blind. And I'll tell you what Ilhan Omar's doing. She knows she got caught. She knows her hand's been in the cookie jar and everybody else's cookie jar too. She knows she's fixing to get in trouble in some way, shape, fashion, or form. She just doesn't know how bad because she doesn't know how much swag she has right now. What she's trying to do now is rally the voices behind her to create a societal issue so that she will have some power and say, oh, but if you do something to me, now look, they're mad. And they'll come after you. And I watch her and I'm like, lady, you are truly, truly an evil, evil person. It's horrible. Now they're finding out even more and more that apparently she was receiving what was supposed to be drug rehab funds for a place that was supposed to be a drug rehab. It was actually a restaurant. Was receiving millions to be a drug rehab. So they were operating as a restaurant, but receiving funding as a drug rehab. Man, oh man, oh man. And she was getting direct kickbacks from that. So she's under investigation. We're going to have to wait and see if they do anything about it. Will the government tell us exactly how crooked they've been? Some of them probably want to. Some of them probably don't want us to know, because I guarantee you a lot of them are going to be on the crooked list from every side. I don't think this is a one-side issue. I think this is across the board. Politicians have gotten away with it, and they're all going to be tainted in some way, shape, or form. That's just where I am on that one. Are you trying to help me? Because you're not helping. So, but all that's been going on. But I watched a couple, three, I don't know. Well, really, the first day I wasn't feeling well. I watched Temple, but sometimes he aggravates the far out of me. But I watch him to see what the other side's saying and trying to debate with, even though sometimes it's just, I just sit there and go, Lord Jesus, half the time. But I watched it, and he had this woman on. And she was supposed to be some kind of educated woman. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. And when I said something in the comments, someone said, well, a stupid man would say that. I said, no, I'm a woman. And I'm embarrassed for all women right now, because she was just trying to win by exhaustion. She didn't understand. She was trying to create arguments where she could get a nuance in on a technicality that wasn't really a fact. And just, she's trying to do this instead of talk like this. And that irritates the crap out of me. And she sounded so stupid, and I was just like, this is why families fall apart. I know it was a big snort, wasn't it? She's laying on the being a good girl. This is why families fall apart. And I said this a couple months ago. Women have dropped the ball when it comes to the responsibility we have acquired in our society. We've dropped the ball because we are highly led by our emotions, which is so wrong for any kind of government, election, political, socio-political, geopolitical. I mean, you can't fit an emotion in there. It doesn't belong. And so, by making us super emotional, playing on the hormones and changing chemicals, and knowing that we will almost vitriolically just clash with the men just based on the premise of them being a man, that they created this whole new wave. Well, number one, they created a whole new workforce. Then they got hold of everybody's kids to train. And then they created a whole new wave of hate across all of America. So, y'all know that was that wasn't a twofer, that was a threefer. And women have just dropped the ball, thinking we were precious enough to get this right, so we must be worthy of it. No, most of us aren't. To be quite honest, most people that vote aren't worthy to vote. And there's something to the way that they used to vote back in the day. You had to own land. You had to be vested in the nation. You had to be vested into your community. There's something to that makes sense. Move, Lou. I don't want to put water on you. Move. Because it does make you think of your community rather than yourself. Sorry. And that's not a bad thing. Hang on. Gotta blanch my pasta. Oh, I'm not tall enough for this. She's laying in here just hoping I'm gonna drop something. That's exactly what she's doing. She's like, just drop anything. I'll eat anything, Mom. Just drop it. Yeah, there's no room for emotions, And of course, I will agree that a lot of women are screwed in this regard, because if you walk into a room with emotion, you're a weak female. If you walk into a room without an emotion, you're a cold bitch. There is no win there. But do you not see the game they're playing with you when they do that? I mean, does not. And I'm just like, what did you expect from people that had held power for all these years? They were just going to willingly hand it over without having a sleight of hand mixed in there somewhere? I mean, really? Really? Because I don't think that's the way it works at all. I think they knew what they were doing from the get-go. Oh, well, I'm too short and I don't feel like doing this. Drop my mixer in the sink. I can't do nothing today. Oh, I gotta put my dishes up. I hate when I wash a big mess of dishes and then I have to deal with them. Holy crap, it makes me mad. I'm putting dried milk in my mac and cheese because I don't have any milk and my cream is out of date. I need to dump it because I don't feel good and I haven't been to the store. I made Walmart come to me because my foot's still been kind of iffy on that one side where I broke it. If I try to articulate it too much, and then by the end of the day, it's really hurting. So I paid for 1 month of deliveries, and so far it's not been bad. I've got to see people that were delivering in my community that I hadn't seen since high school. So move it. So I mean, that was kind of nice. That was a little nice. But I don't know. I've been sitting quiet, just kind of watching the stupid play out. And the sad thing at the end of the day is that we care at all. That we watch this news, we watch these people's behavior, and we care at all. Because we know what's actually really going on in the world is far worse. We know that this is just a distraction while they're doing more horrible things behind our backs to us. and you try to have that conversation with somebody and they think you're crazy. But if I was to talk to somebody about what we've been through in the last 5 years, if I had done that 20 years ago, they'd be like, you're crazy. So crazy is just a relative term. You just have to wait. I don't make this mac and cheese very often. I don't like it. So we're going to zhuzh it up a little bit. I really don't like it. I usually make my cheese sauces from scratch. So. But I don't think he can taste anything anyway, so I don't guess he probably won't know. Silver lining. But as one very wise man said in the song, every silver lining's got its cloud too. So with every good, there is a bad. Makes you think. Makes you think when you think something really good happened, but what was the bad? Because there's a counterbalance somewhere all the time. Yeah, Luna's waiting for me to drop. She loves when I drop cheese. She sees a bag of cheese come out. Normally I grate it, so I normally do drop it. But when I ordered the last delivery, I was like, I'm not feeling well. I ain't grating cheese. I'm breaking sweat just standing here right now. That being said, I still don't think I'm as sick as David. No, I will melt that when he gets in and zhuzh it up so it's creamy and so he eats it. But I think he's gonna come home and lay down. I don't think he's gonna come home and eat. I'm pretty sure he's gonna come home and go sleep. If any of the messages he sent me today were indicators of how he feels, he's just gonna come home and go sleep. Oh, I just did a sink of dishes and I've already got a sink of dishes. Golly wampus, man. I'm just watching. I'm just watching the news right now and being like, there are people out there believe that. There are people out there act like that. There are people out there think that. I mean, I know that they changed a lot. I'm burning up. I know that they changed a lot. Let's move. I know that they changed a lot right after I got out of school. Like right after I got out of middle school, they changed a lot of middle school crap. But and I know that it changed so much that my mom retired. She was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not ruining the kids. She retired. She retired early. She took her cut retirement and she said, peace. And so I knew it was bad. But I was, having babies then and raising toddlers and thinking it would surely sort itself out. I'm so stupid. No, you're not getting my lap. I'm busy with food. No, you're not being fed right now either. Toddler mode. And that's been another thing. I've been like, these half-century-old people that I'm watching on the TV are as needy as my epileptic dog. It's irritating because Bumba put a very good thing on it. It's true about the difference between cattle and buffaloes. It's very true. All wild animals will either hunker down and let the storm pass them, or they'll push into it. They will not run from it because they know to run from something and to turn your butt is just to have it chase you and you not see it. They'd rather look at it and see it coming. So a lot of wild animals will run straight into danger. They will keep their face pointed straight into danger, whether it be a storm, a predator attack, anything like that. You've seen the gazelles jump in the river. When they see their neighbor get bit, they're like, I'm jumping now because Larry's dead and I might not be. They don't care. And nature is very much like that. And it's very true that we are a nation of stupid cows right now. I've said that, we are cattle to them. And we are about as bright. I mean, most of us can't even, if we was to be cows and dropped on a, several thousand acre farm, most of us would have a harder time finding the gates, to shift pastures than the cows do, just to be quite honest. That's how a simple thing is so difficult to people that think they're complex when they don't understand how simple they are. And I just watched this and I'm going, wow, I can't believe people live like this. It boggles my mind, but they do everywhere. And I'm just like, So all I can say, what happens makes me terribly sad and upset, but at the same time, what do you think's going to happen when you go out and you physically provoke federal marshals doing their job, and you create a hazardous environment for them as well? Now, do I think the officers should have fired? I don't know. I would be more busy about jumping out of the way of the vehicle than unholstering my weapon. But I also I ain't him, and I haven't been dragged down the road 300 foot and laid up in the hospital because somebody else hit me with a vehicle the year before. So, don't know how that man's thinking. I can say that under the guidelines of continuum of force, as most people are trained, what he did is acceptable because she pointed a multi-thousand-pound weapon at him. But, they'll play it out in court somehow. It'll be some stupid, jargon that they get socially overwhelmed, and it will turn the courts into a little piss fit party. Oh, the polecats. Was you the one that wanted my laundry detergent recipe for polecats? Is that you? I will try to fix my hair so you can see it. It's going to take it, a few days to not look so harsh. When David catches, he hasn't caught a direct spray in a while, but when he catches a spray, he has to strip off on the back porch. We have a screen in the back porch, so he has to take his clothes off the back porch. I don't care if it's 10 below. Take them off. And I normally leave them out there for a while, the first, big wave to go away. And then when I can stand to tolerate them and I've got a clean path to my washer and no other laundry to do, I put it in and I use borax, a little bit of OxyClean, borax. The OxyClean is if you want to. It's not necessary because the borax is the same thing. Borax, OxyClean, you could put a little bit of Dawn in there if you want to, just a little tiny squirt of Dawn. It'll break down a lot of the greases that makes that scent stick. And then you can use just tiny splash of Pine Sol. And wash them a couple of times. Sometimes it only takes once. Sometimes it depends on how much the skunk sprayed. Sometimes it takes a couple of times. And then what I do after I wash that load, I run a cleaning cycle in my washer. I put one of those little tabs in there, or I'll use vinegar and flush everything and wash a load. Just wash, a cleaning cycle load. So that's my tip on polecats, because I've not really found anything else as effective as that combination. Borax, I don't think you can beat borax with a stick. Borax is great for everything. Borax is one of those things that my house will never be empty of borax. It's just too handy. There's a lot of ways, but a lot of people, first off, they go tomato paste. Tomato paste will kind of reduce the shock of it, but it won't really take away the stench. Baking soda is always a good thing, if you want to use it. Baking soda is always a good thing for odors and stuff like that. And if the skin's irritated, it just sometimes calms the skin down. If you've got an animal that got sprayed. But the thing is with David, a lot of his trapping clothes, when it gets really cold like this, he has to have them to put on. He has to have them to be out in the weather that we have here. And so I have to launder them immediately so they can be ready to go, so he can check traps. Because as a trapper, you have to check traps every so many hours or you're not legal. So I have to get them clean so he can put them back on and go. So I use my washer. And the smell, when I do that way, and then I run a cleansing cycle with one of those little clean tabs or vinegar, it doesn't stay. So I've never had a problem with it. But a lot of people will throw things away, and they'll be like, why'd you throw it away? Why'd you throw it away? And I just always do warm. I don't do hot. I don't do cold. I just do warm, because a lot of the grease and the oils that makes that scent stick, if you use cold or extremely hot, it will kind of reactivate it. So I just do a little warm cycle, and you like the borax and stuff. Mainly the borax and pine sol is what really helps the most. But I'm playing chemist in my washing machine, and I probably should not do that. Just saying, disclaimer, you probably shouldn't do it. Everybody plug your ears or turn the volume down. I'm going to tell my mechanism to shut up. Hey Google, turn off the timer. Is that what I said? Okay, that was what I said. I never can remember if I said a timer or an alarm. But she lets me know because she yells at me. You don't have one set right now. Yeah, when I do like a warm, it's more of a, I don't want it super cold, I want it super hot. I want it, kind of lukewarm in the middle. Which is normally what you would never want, but I'm weird. I just have found out with the oils and that stuff, it just works best. So, my feet are cold. I took my house shoes off. And when my feet get cold, that toe starts hurting, man. Okay, so I've got 2 things almost completed. And I wanted to show you. I don't have his face on yet. This is just a marker to mark the bottom. This is his little face. He's going to have ears up here and little nose and whiskers and eyes. These are his feet down here. That's just a marker. This one's just a marker, so I know which way is down. And then here's his tail. I've got to put, like styrofoam curl rollers. I've got to put one in there with a little stuffing on each side so that when you put his tail on it stays straight up. And then put his ears and his face on it and finish him out, the embroidery and stuff. And then I've got the frog almost done too. So I thought I better whip these out in case I get sick. Because right now I'm just like, I don't feel well. And it may be that I'm trying to overcompensate and do more so that if David is fixing to drop on me, I can take care of everything. And so I'm just trying to I'm pushing 9 near death right now after not feeling well for a few days myself with some cluster migraines. But it's just funny how everything has bottlenecked. Sickness. We got sickness. We've had basically war, with Venezuela. Huge business deals, huge oil deals, a meeting of the minds and the finances across the world. Sickness in the southeastern Appalachia, and all this in Minnesota. And now there was a fire started in Los Angeles last night or night before, and they were trying to put it out before it spread, and there it went, because the Santa Anas and stuff. It's about that. It is that time. And all the rains they've had in Washington, and I was like, there's not a calm place. There's not a calm place to be. And Booma has done some really good panels where he's had some really good guests talk about really wonderful research and scientists and things that they don't want you to find on the internet. And especially that one guy that was talking about the weather, that was a really good one. And y'all know that there for about a year with what happened with Helene and my brother being right there in that I did a lot of research on the weather and found way more than I wanted to. I have got so many cow licks. When I cut my bangs, all it does is look like a herd of cows come up and licked me, and I have a cow lick for each heifer. Oh, this is just a little cat. This is just a little tuxedo black cat. Little fat loaf cat. He'll be round, little fat loaf cat when I get him stuffed. He's meant to look like somebody's cat. I've got the frog. Everything is done. I like 6 rounds on the frog's last leg, and then I've got to stuff and assemble and embroider everything. I've just been trying to crank the crochet out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit them up and Lysol them. Sit them back in the guest room and Lysol them. And then if I'm good, then I'll package them and drop them in the mail. Because I'm afraid David is it's not coming back as it's not coming back as flu or the coof or anything. It's just seems like with all these fogs and all this weather, everyone in my area now has a big sinus infection, and my ears have been messing up with the headaches, y'all. And that was why I cut my hair. And y'all know I've been having a hard time with all the hair and how thick it was and how heavy it was, and it was just a lot to maintain, especially when I have mastoiditis a lot and I have to worry a lot about this heat retention, and it sweats, and and it's just a lot of hair is a lot of work. And I'm not emotionally attached to my hair. I know a lot of Native people are. I'm not. Like, honestly, if I had a pretty face, I would shave my head and go bald. I would. Because I just think streamline everything in life. Just get it right on out there. If I had a pretty face and I could do good makeup, buzz cut me, buddy. I'd just walk out there with pretty earrings, pretty eyeballs. Because nobody's going to tell you that you don't look good, honestly. How many people tell you have a booger in your nose? None. I wish they would. I would truly like to know that. You can tell that to me any day. But no one ever tells you. But we live our lives worried about people telling us things that we don't want to hear. But in reality, very few people really tell us things we don't want to hear. Very few people that it matters when it comes from, So I'm just like, I would totally rock a buzz cut. I really would. It would have streamlined so many hours of my days when I worked in offices, was going to college and raising kids. Oh my gosh, it would have been great. You're interested in the black cat outcome? Okay, I'll put a picture up on the post thing. Yeah, he just looks like a blob right now, but he's just a big fat. He's kind of dented because they've not stuffed him, but he'd just be he looks like a big round loaf of bread, and they only have his face and whiskers here and his ears, and their tail sticks straight up and it won't bend down. You can put wires in them to shape them. I don't like to put wires and stuff. So I'm going to put one of those styrofoam roller things. I take it off the roller, put it in there, and then I pack it on each end with the puff, the polyfill, and that little tail will just boop, stay right there. And I sew it and I anchor it to where it, it doesn't want to fall down. So, and I don't mind making loaf cats. They're pretty fun. Once you get through the face and the bobbles, I mean, it's mindless. It's lots around. So I got to stay busy enough to feel positive and like I was doing something today, being productive. And, but it was easy enough that I didn't have to think about it. It was actually kind of nice. It was nice. Yeah, it's a tuxedo black kitty. Yeah. She had a black and white cat, and that's like the most prominent pattern. Because they couldn't give me a picture or anything. So I thought, well, I'll just do a tuxedo black cat. So I'm going to tip his little ears white. I may put a little bit of pink in him too. I'm not made my mind up yet. I'm just going to play with the embroidery and the finishing and see what it looks like. Everybody's been having these headaches, and yeah, like I've been talking to a lot. Like I have friends all over the world. Got friends in Australia. I've got I have a very, very, very prominent friend in Prague that I talk to a lot. I have friends in the UK, and I have friends in Alaska. And in the last 3 weeks, the last 2 hot and heavy headaches and like a viral sinus ick kind of thing has been a predominant issue. Bad headaches. And it kind of made me wonder if maybe we had gotten somehow they had messed up iron in the water, in the city water around here. But then when people with wells were experiencing it too, I thought, well, then that doesn't really check out for continuity. So surely it's not that, unless it could have been like an atmospheric dump or something. I don't know. Because a lot of the iron toxicity behaviors, that's how it's a lot of the things people are having. And so I read about that for a little while, and I thought, well, I don't know. I don't know. But we're all talking about it, and I know they hate it. So we're just going to keep talking about it. How wide you lie? I'm about blind on this little phone. And it seems like every time I touch it, it messes up my speaker. I've got to upgrade, but y'all, I hate to pay money for I hate a phone. I hate a phone. I would revert back to smoke signals right now if I could just get. I hate this phone. I hate being constantly found. I don't like being found all the time. Since I'm retired, I don't like being found all the time. Yeah, my ears bubble a lot, and I have a really hard time with the fluid not draining correctly because the structure of my ear is incorrect because of the extra bones and bone marrow. And so I have a really hard time with fluid and drainage properly. And so if it gets worse for me, then I'll have to be super, super careful because I am prone to mastoiditis with my concerns, with my issues. So, but yeah, I was so hot. I'd had so many migraines. My bun felt like it weighed 30 pounds on top of my head. I had a sore spot on my head from where I'd been sick for like 3 days with headaches off and on. And I couldn't do anything else with my hair. I just put it in a bun. And I had a sore spot on top of my head because it was so heavy. And I thought, I'm over this. And so I went and pulled it up and just did a quick little shag, like a little long rocker shag cut. And I put mousse in it and completely screwed it up this morning. But when it air dries with just a little bit of that Dreamwell curl on it, it looks really cute. But I need to go back and like do some little fine blunt cuts and stuff. But I'm going to have a couple of days where I feel good and can wash it a couple of times to get my cowlicks calmed down before I decide where to soften it up a little bit. Because when I cut my hair, like cowlicks go because it just forgets how to behave. I don't know why. But I feel like I lost 30 pounds. Like my head feels so much better. Yeah, Celtic salt. And I'm here to tell you, my mom and dad are pretty doggone healthy to be their age. Like the stuff they're taking care of is like dad was born with a heart valve that has to be reconfigured ever so often. That was just a defect. He's defective. Sorry, Dad. But the stuff they're handling is just like rotator cuffs, hips wear out. It just happens. But they've been pretty doggone healthy, like the majority of their lives. And Dad has always been one because he's worked in these big ritzy barns with these horses that have been worth $250,000. And if you go into my dad's kitchen at any time, you'll find Celtic salt, you'll find cayenne pepper, lemon juice, olive oil, really good olive oil. And then you'll find an equine salt supplement. And it basically is exactly the same as a lot of the really good like electrolyte salt supplements you could get. It's basically, like he read it to me, it's basically the same thing. And it's processed the same way, and it's safe for human consumption. One's just sold at TSC, and the other one's sold at like CVS and Walgreens. And he keeps that in his kitchen at all times. I mean, smart. That I don't use a heavy mousse. I use that really light Aussie mousse, and it's because when I first cut it, it kind of likes to go, and I was trying to have it not like stick out. I thought I was going to feel good today and get up and do a few things, and that did not occur. So then I laid down and slept on it for a little while, and it looked like absolute crap. So ponytail it is. No, you cannot play with me till after I get done with dinner, and you know that. Bug-eyed Sally. Oh, you've already been out. She knows her daddy's coming home, and she's waiting, y'all. Yes, my little dinky tree is still up. That's my tree that's on a beaver chute log pole. David made that for me, so when I was on my rolly cart, I could get my rolly cart around it in the living room. I'm gonna leave it up for maybe another week. I'm gonna try to put it up maybe next weekend. I didn't put it up for like 2 days before Christmas, so I feel bad taking it down right after. She'll start like moving the curtain to look for him, and I'm like, ugh. And it messes her up because he works to some evenings later than others. And so she'll start walking and pacing. It's almost like she's got sundowners. She'll start walking and pacing, waiting for him to come home. Drive me and I'm like, sit down. Can't wait to get your. I went back there and I always find a couple that I just like, either like the color combination I did, or I like the face shaping I did, or I like the personality that it just came out with. And so I had fun picking yours out. It was probably my favorite that I'd made. Yeah. I packed him really cute too. He's holding his tail. And he's holding something else too. He's holding his tail. So he's got a friend with him. The Bridget Bardot. It looks, I don't know, it looks like a little shag, a little rocker shag cut. It, like I don't know. It just, it suits my face. It's kind of a haircut I had in high school. Well, it's longer, but I layered it a little bit more, but it's kind of like the haircut I had in high school. But now I'm telling you, after I got out of high school, I rocked what I call the Eddie Vedder, which was just cut at the chin, a big bob cut at the chin. And I rocked that for I don't know how many years. It was just easy. It fit in her ball cap perfectly. You could fix it for church with just one swoop over and one curl right here, perfectly put on the side of your face, like a big bouffant from the 60s. And, but I rocked that haircut for a long time. I cannot with my issues. I've learned that when my hair gets a certain length, I can't handle it. And I got so sick and so irritated with it. And I'm hacking it off. I just sectioned it and done it to where it would blunt cut the layers. And I'll go back and fade them in when I feel better. It didn't do too bad, but I'll go back and fade them in after I've washed it a couple times and slept on it a couple times and my cowlicks calm down. And I'll just fade them in a little bit better. But it actually looks kind of cute before I slip on it. After I moosed it and before I slept on it. It was really cute. But I priced a haircut and a keratin treatment. And it's going to be like $80. And I was like, I'll cut my own hair and go get me some mane and tail conditioner, by God. I know that you want leave-ins, but I'm busy. I know. You can't get up here. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You get awful needy this time of night. No, I'm not playing with you. It's not time for Daddy to be home. It's not time. It's not time. You can cry, but it ain't gonna change it. Well, you just sit there and wait. It's fine with me. I know where you are. Yeah, I always have jumper cables, but my Jeep came with one of those jump box thingies and one of those little nice air compressors. Now, David will take my little air compressor thing, and it irritates me because I'm like, excuse you, that belongs to my vehicle. So I made him buy his own. I was like, that's fine. Hey, Sal. I said, what, we were going to Louisville, Kentucky one time for the North American International Livestock Expo, and we had a huge, we had like a 40-something foot, we had a 4-door extended cab, one of those big dualies with the full stock trailer behind it. Big rig. Big rig. And we were going up there with, God, probably around 30 sheep at least. And we had a flat, and we finally got over in a Long John Silver's parking lot. And it was so funny because people stopped, because people were at Long John's too, but people also stopped there because me and the girl got out and, we told our bonus dad, we were like, just, if you'll get the block out for us, because he was taller than, but we were both short. I was like 5'4", she was like 5 foot. So he reached over and got the block out from under the toolbox on the dually, and we drove it up on the block, and we changed the tire. So we always had a spare. We changed the tire. People stopped and were like, holy crap, there are 2 girls, young girls changing the tire. And we were like, yeah, you got to change it to go anywhere else. It puzzled us that they were puzzled that we knew how to change a tire. And I was like, really? Now, I've gotten to the time in my life where I'm like, I really don't want to. But if I have to, I could. I really don't want to. I've gotten there. But, that's because I'm domesticated and lazy since my health changed. No, you do. No, I'm not holding you. You know I don't hold you when I'm making dinner and handling food. She is so needy tonight. So needy. Yeah, those are really good. Having those little air pumps and the ones that read really accurately, they're really good. They're almost foolproof. Almost foolproof. I'm sure you can find a way to screw it up. But you don't know how many women don't know how to use jumper cables. Or if they do know how to put them on, they don't understand that sometimes if you don't get a good connection, it won't work. And like they don't know if a battery terminal is crusted over, you need to knock some of that crap off, just simple things like maybe today's whole message is sometimes the simple things in life should be things that you make a priority, because those are going to be the most necessary things you need in your arsenal to not be a dingbat and do stupid, derpy things. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say today. But I look at these, what they call these huge problems in our world, and I go, it's not a huge problem. We got people that immigrated legally or otherwise over here and are being dishonest and defrauding our nation. Charge them and then send them back home. Check. Next problem. We have Congress, men and women and representatives that are defrauding the government, mishandling appropriated funds. Kick them out. Let's get a new person in. Vote now. Come on, get it done. Check. Next one. It's just like, I can take care of this really easily. It won't make everyone happy, but I can take care of it, and I can probably keep at least 75, 80% of people happy, because there just needs to be some kind of forward momentum. Regardless of the change, they just want to see forward momentum. They just want to see something done and accomplished, and to know that this is not going to keep happening again and again and again. Stupid people interfering with, federal issues, getting together and doing these training, hey, listen, if you talk about a redneck militia that gets out and shoots their guns once every 2 months, people will go ballistic because they swear Bubba and Uncle Bobby are going to take over the world with their Mossbergs and turkey choke. And I'm just like, okay. But you take a bunch of liberal to leftists that are polarized and ignorant of the law, and you train them to interfere illegally into state and federal investigations, and you teach them to be belligerent because they're stupid, and to not educate themselves but become more belligerent and say that they're stupid, act stupid. And then if the officers engage, act even stupider, like your legs won't work, you can't walk yourself to the car. Make them pack you, so then people can say, you're being an animal, you're packing her like an animal. Well, what are you supposed to do when somebody won't walk? You can't book them on the pavement in the middle of the road. Chuck her in the wagon and take her to the Sally Port, chuck her into the jail and go back for another one. Check. Next problem, it's really simple. How do we get our society back to a society that is functioning? We have to have a similar perspective of our Constitution, our law, our legal framework, and basically the virtue of what society wants. We need a mission statement that we all ascribe to. And you can fix all of that by putting social studies and history back in school, by stopping a lot of the poopy-doopy hogwash that is said on podcasts that are lies, that swear their information, and that misinform and create idiots. Hey, take them off the air. We used to have regulations for that crap. Let's bring it back, okay? Because if you are absolutely lying and putting people in harm's way, or trying to incite something that's going to be illegal and harm others, take it off. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, like if I can tell you an annotated code or a federal code that you lied about this, you lied about that, You need to go home and think about it before you get another radio show or another podcast. You need to think about what you're talking about. They harness so much and have their thumb on so much other, but then they let certain things go because they think they're controlling the momentum. Well, I have to tell them that you only control a cattle or herd of stampeding cattle until they break the first fence. After they've broken the first fence, you no longer have control. At that point, you are just trying to stay the crap away from the herd because you're going to get flattened. So what they're doing is they're pushing everybody toward a fence. Once that fence snaps, we're all screwed because we're all potential targets. Because once they start running crazy left-brained, they're not coming back down to earth. They're not coming back down to earth. And it is sad that people get so excitable that they get to this place. But they've been working on us for 80 years at least to get us to this place. You know how I sat with old men around a potbelly stove at an old shop that sold, it's just like an old general store and had grain. And I'd sit around them little old men with them corncob pipes, and they'd be whittling, and they'd talk, real long, drawn out and slow, and they'd contemplate, they'd ponder, they'd debate, they'd fuss a little bit, they'd sass each other, they'd laugh, and they'd go on. But they had good conversations, and they had really critical conversations. I wish everybody could spend a couple hours with some old people that are wise around a potbelly stove and really pay attention to people that had hardships and had to prove themselves, had to raise children and couldn't find loopholes. There were none at the time because, not everybody was crooked as a dog's hind leg. I wish we could, there's just some simple things in life that if it was still there and you could still be meshed into it for, even just a couple hours, it would make such a change in your life. Because you might have a role model that could be a role model instead of somebody that's wanting to turn your feelings into felonies. Because that never works out well. I never saw anybody go to prison and truly enjoy it. Now, some people could go to prison and listen, they get in the machine. And they could be more lucrative in prison than in society. And those people, bless their hearts, could never function outside. They failed miserably on the outside, but they did really well. If you put them in a completely crooked place, they knew exactly how to function. And they were so far beyond institutionalized. They were mafia-based intelligence that learned how to run every scam, scheme, operation, push every lever anybody ever had. And you had to watch them. But at the base of it, nobody wanted to be caged. They really didn't. They really didn't. But they learned how to maximize the potential. That's what's happened here. Nobody really wants to be a politician anymore, but they've learned how to maximize the placement. And it's just like the prisons, and the felons that are maximizing the prison systems. It's, our politicians are doing the same thing. And I sit here and I'm like, I see it. It's just a different social group doing the same thing in a different way. It's just the application that's different. Just the application that's different. And that's a small thing. Very small thing. Oh, you can't all be the same. Like, I don't ever want to go into a room. If I ever go into a room and think I'm the smartest person there, I'm leaving. Because it would be useless to be there. Because I'm all about, I need to be learning daily. But whether you learn things socially or not, you have a responsibility as an adult in a society to put knowledge in your own noggin. To acclimate yourself to the society you live within, to understand the social construct and the contract that you sign to share spaces. to have our safety depend on each other in those shared spaces. And a lot of people do not even think about others when they go out and they do these miscreant to malicious behaviors. They don't think about anyone else but themselves. How it's going to look on Instagram or some social media site, or how many views it's going to get them, or how it's going to change their check from YouTube or TikTok, or, if they're going to get a sponsorship for something, or, walk around with big head for a while, big ego, to think that life would be that small to somebody, especially somebody that had a child. She actually had 3. Now, they're saying with the records that somewhere along the line she lost parentage of 2 for some reason. I'm not sure. We'll let that pan out as it comes out to come out in court, I'd say. But she still had 1, I guess, in her custody that she had dropped off either school or daycare hours away and drove to participate in this because of a school that had networked parents to become activists. And I just think it's sad to take parents that have young children that are terrified about the world and society they're growing up anyway, and then weaponize those parents and their emotions about the fear of the society their kids are being raised in, and then say, while you're scared of all this and fear the worst, we're going to just chuck you out there and let it happen. And beyond that, we're gonna give you a 3-weekend trip somewhere and train you about how to pour milk on your face when you get pepper sprayed, and we're gonna tell you you're good to go. And I'm just sitting here going, oh, dear Jesus. And I've had so many people, when they hear me speak, like every group on every side has been like, you're so well-spoken, you have such good ideas, won't you come talk, won't you be part of our group? And I'm like, I don't want to be part of a group. I don't want to be part of a group. I've had a lot of these little mindless groups that just want to put on a little fatigue and a little backpack, and I'm ready to roll, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, no, not a desire at all. I mean, to belong to any group like that. Because once you jump into a pool of other people and you assign yourself group mentality, you don't get to think for yourself. And then if something happens in the group and you step away, or you think for yourself and don't act like everyone else, then you become the target of everyone else. And then life is heck, because there's no free thinking in a group. And I'm not giving my brain away for free. I'm just not. So I'm not going to be part of your group. It's just, nope, sorry. If you want to hear what I have to say, you're going to sit down and have a conversation with me, because no. Hey, I'm not going to be in any group or give you my energy or 2 weekends a year. No. And I'm certainly not going to put my child somewhere and drive hours to annoy people I know I'm not allowed to annoy. But I just want you to think about this. Somebody had been trained so proficiently by these people that are weaponizing these groups of parents that they thought it was a good idea to block the road, and for several minutes before the altercation that occurred, to be blocking the road, honking and screaming. When there's federal operatives doing an operation right here. And you know it. And you know that you're creating an unsafe environment for you, them, and everybody else around there. And none of that registers. And then when you do something so stupid where you don't understand what you're doing because nobody taught you about a car is deemed a weapon, you just think you're in your car. And you get a heightened emotion, you get excitable, you start, there are multiple people talking, and you're not listening to the officers, but your girlfriend over here says, drive, baby, drive. You push the gas. Well, unfortunately, you wasn't looking out the window, because when you turned and cut, it put you in direct line with an officer. Never good. He was trying to not stay. Like, he was trying to, when I'm working a horse, I will try to stay off from their shoulder, because you got to do the dance around the dangerous ends, right? He was trying to do that dance as she was trying to block, and then back up and do the wiggle room thing with him. And it made it very, very dangerous for them and for her. And I immediately was like, oh crap, this is not good. Oh crap, this is not good, because they don't know where you're going to cut your wheels. They don't know what kind of 3 or 4 or 5 point turn you're. They don't know how proficient you are as a driver. They don't know what you're capable of or what's in your head. They just know you're in a multi-thousand-pound vehicle that's a weapon, and it's far superior to them being on foot. And you already have told them, I don't care about you. I've spit things at you that I wouldn't say to a dog I didn't like. And, I've already performed several simple assaults verbally, so this is probably not going to go well. And he was trying to stay, but the way she kept changing, because she didn't know what she was doing, proficiently trained. The way she kept changing the direction, and she didn't know what she was doing. It put everyone there in such a place of danger, and everyone there that was in bullet range in such a place of danger. Everybody that was there in range of that vehicle having the gas pressed, or stuck, and her running. I mean, it was just a bad place to be. And then what do we see happen all over the states after that? Parents start bringing their children to these marches because they want their children to witness community, because community and caring for each other are grown freaking adults yelling that they want to do harm to people that go out and keep most of America safe every day. Because that's how you show your child community and love. That's borderline like abuse and neglect, if you ask me, because those places are so dangerous. And we've seen consistently the behavior and the danger and the vandalism and the volatility. I would be like, Department of Human Services, can we get the child officers out here to check this out, please? Because I don't think this lady's faculties are all there. Bothers me greatly. But but the journalists talking to them are like, oh, it's such a great thing you're doing, exposing your child to this. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's great. That's great. It's great. Why don't you just go give them some rusty mosquito laden egg water and let them lick a dog's hind end, and let them eat a gallon of lead paint from the 60s. Sure, great exposure. Again, simple things that I think are rather simple. Other people think are just, very difficult decisions in life to make. It boggles my mind. Boggles my absolute mind. It is laughable. It's very laughable. It's very laughable. And what bothers me even more is these people have birthed children into the world. And normally when you have a child, you look at the world very differently. You start to say, oh crap, this is what my child's going to inherit. And I've got to do my best to make it something that they can be happy in and do well, and it's going to be better for them than it was for me. You don't go out and make it worse. Like you don't say, well, I'm going to show them toxic and violent behavior and constantly, going to be the anti anything that's going on. All you're showing your child is an antisocial behavioral pattern. That's learned. That means they're going to do it. And it's going to be a generational thing. And it's going to be harder for them to have a better life because they didn't see a cohesive unit of anything growing up. And, that's really sad to think about that. It's really sad. And you got to look at the older kids all got dumped off at daycare going, your mom at the rally? Yeah, your mom, yeah. What's your mama's job today? Oh, she's blocking traffic. What's your mom's day? Oh, she's blocking roads and smacking journalists. She's got milk to pour on people's pepper sprayed faces. I mean, I had a difficult job and I had to have really difficult conversations with my children to keep them safe. But there were still things I did not expose them to because at the capacity they were at, in the structure and framing of their brain, it would have done more harm than good. And I don't see that coming from this group. And it frustrates the holy crap out of me. But anyway, that's what I've been looking at. Everybody's been like, what are you thinking? I'm just thinking Darwin got a lot right. Got a lot wrong, he got a lot right. Freud was a pervert, but he showed us what everybody was going to be when they got a little bit of education and power. If they got the pull to manufacture subsidized programs, they were going to manipulate it in probably some really horrible way. He did it. His nephew did it. His nephew ran the program to get women to smoke and create antisocial behavior in women that were like 24 to 32, like back in the 50s and 60s. Might have been 30s and 40s. Might have been 30s and 40s. So if you look up Freud's nephew, I can't remember his name, but he was a little turd too. Just it's irritating, but I'm telling you, if you can sit back and just watch behavior and try to not emotionally look at these people as people. Look at them. I try to look at them, honestly, I try to look at it from a nature aspect or a livestock aspect. Because then I don't get upset. I just understand there's a dynamic there I need to learn. So I kind of look at them in an animalistic way. I do. And their behavior lends to it perfectly. So I watch them and I'm like, okay, well, there's the hierarchy. Well, there's the alpha. Okay, well, there's the betas. Okay, well, you can see the structure, and you can see that they have basically built it like a mafia business, and they have structured it with the level of security, the level of watchers, the level of caretakers that they're trying to run basically a mafia. I don't know what they think is very charismatic about that. I mean, there is a guy from the mafia, though. Oh gosh, what's his name? Michael Francis. That came up really quickly out of my mouth, so it might be right. He did like a bunch of years in prison, got out, turned his life around, and now he tells all the secrets about the mafia. And he spoke on this, and everything he said, I had been like talking to David about, and I was like, dude, And so if you want to hear a straight shooting man that is going to tell you exactly what's going on, it's Michael Francis. I mean, he spent a lot of time in prison being a bad boy, but he finally he's got life turned around, doing well, and he's telling all. And so the people don't find themselves in his placement. God love him. He's trying to do something good. And he is talking about how society is being turned against itself for the benefit of everyone else, but we're all too stupid to see it. And I'm like, dude. I mean, if the first thing an agency tells you to do is to sit horizontal in a 2-lane road that's heavily trafficked, do you really care about me? I'm thinking not. I don't know how these people think these are just good ideas, but Lord. Yeah, commercial advertising was basically just what's the worst way I can say this? It was just emotional manipulation and trauma-based sales opportunities. That's why when I watch commercials, I'm like, there's like 99.9% of women wanting to have a problem that can be fixed by a shot to look like this woman because for 30 seconds her life looked good. And she's fake. And I find it hilarious. But so many people's lives are based on fiction like that, and it's a sad thing, but at the same time, it's kind of silly. Yeah, we've not seen any consequences in our society in a long time. That's what's doing a lot of this. Exactly. Yeah. And, our society really has no kind of like tribal advancement component into adulthood. Like every other society and culture has some kind of gap where you're tested in many ways by the community, by the tribe to earn the status of adult. And we don't have that here in America, but it seems like they have adopted it as if you can dye your hair multiple colors, put, fishing tackle on your face, and scream at federal officers. And I'm like, that's... And it's a 3-year-old tantrum, but they think it makes them look like an adult. And I'm like, oh God, the regression here is just mind-boggling. But like I said, they're using the exhaustive tactics. You're going to see look at all the people doing interviews right now, all the news media that's trying to spin this a certain way. Look at how they'll try to twist the nuance. They won't talk about a direct law. They'll twist a technicality. They'll cite something way over here in the left field that really is not likely to happen ever, Or you'll just see them flat out lie, like that lawyer lady did that was talking to Jon Stewart the other night. I was like, somebody needs to smack her. Because she just flat out lied. Like, hey, Bar Association, somebody tell her, honey, we saw that. But, there are, a lot of people that get their law degrees that never even, they never even take a class that teaches them about, the First and Second Amendment. They don't know how a lot of the amendments came to be. They don't know the historical continuity that created the mergers, that created the need for the amendments. But I told y'all, if they change the vernacular, if they change the way we talk to each other, and then they can change the vocabulary, the meaning of the words, and they can change the law, then they can, basically have control of that society. And what do we see in the last 2 decades heavily? A huge change in the way we speak to each other, and a huge huge change in the way we view the written law and talk about it. Because we don't have the application of the words the same anymore, and we like to fuss about that now instead of saying this is how it was meant. Pull out a Webster's dictionary from 1960. That's a pretty good, but no, they want to bend it to instead of a denotation to a connotation, instead of a dictionary term to a societal term. Well, law does not flex like that, because then it's not law. Then it's just a guideline that you can manipulate. Which in a lot of ways is anyway. But, at least when we're all on the same page as far as diction, we can say this means that means that. So we're getting so far away that we are going to have no law, no rule, there's going to be no form to our society whatsoever. It's just going to be free for all. And like I said, they break the first fence, they're going to keep running. They're going to go left-brained. And you ain't going to be able to slow the roll. At that point, we're all waiting to get stampeded by the herd, because there's no stopping them. Just like stampede. Cowboys know if you don't get it stopped, you better run the other way, because once they get left-brained and they get so frothy and highly emotional and they don't know what they're running from, but they can't stop because they get all those chemicals and hormones pumping, and everybody else is running, we're running. You can't stop that herd, and they will plow through towns, people, forest, killing everything. They're dangerous, and that is what we're creating with our society, a stampede of stupidity, but a stampede nonetheless. Well, I mean, lead, follow, get out of the way, but also if you're going to follow somebody, make sure it's somebody worth following. And if you're going to lead, make sure you have the capacity to lead. I wouldn't necessarily say follow anybody. I can't think of anybody I would dead set follow. No. Most people say, well, your parents, but yeah, like I trust my parents. But I told y'all last month or something, when my dad had a calf that fell into a sinkhole, and he couldn't see the bottom of the sinkhole, but he tied himself to the buckets of a backhoe and had his friend lower him down into the sinkhole to look for that calf. I'm sorry, Daddy. Sometimes we don't have bright ideas. Maybe shouldn't have done that. So there, I even have times when I go, Dad, and I trust my dad, but at that moment I've been like, are we doing this? I'm not going to be part of this. So, sometimes you just got to question everything, but I'm watching it going, holy crap, the world's going crazy. So, but I'm gonna have to shut up because I don't know if Booma's on tonight, and I need to shut up. Yeah, I mean, have good people that you can talk to and throw ideas out, and they will honestly throw crap back at you. That's great. But I can think of people that I would offer my skills to and like to have their skills be part of my skill set too. But I don't think I would never say you follow me or I'll follow you. No. And that's just because I don't like those little power plays that I just don't like that. My voice is so soothing. I can say really hateful things in a really sweet way, and I've gotten away with a lot. But I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just like, we need to have a thought process. We need to have something bigger go on in our bodies than a fart bubble, because I think some of the biggest things that are happening to some of these people today are gas. And it's concerning me greatly. I'm just not even, it's concerning me greatly. Okay, I'm going to shut up in case Boom is live. If Boom is live, go and support Boom. It won't show me when I'm on this stupid little phone. I'm going to get off here and finish melting that down. So if he gets home, if he wants to eat it, to be warm. But if he wants to go to bed, I can heat that stuff up and it'll still taste remotely like what it's supposed to taste like. So, and I'm going to rest tonight. And I hope I'm just tired from overdoing and having cluster migraines. And from, I think it's an atmospheric thing. I really do. But I do know that David's feeling pretty rough. So if you toss up some prayers for him, he normally does not get sick. But when he does, big boy falls down hard. No. Need my spirit animal. I think he's denned up for the winter and going, lady, I'm done. You handle it. I got my apron dirty. Armadillo that's a tactical possum. It's not an armadillo. It's a tactical possum. That's what we call them up here. You'll hit one on the interstate and you go all under your vehicle like 5 times. And you're like, you didn't kill it. You just rung its bell real good. It's a tactical possum. Don't look at me like that. Oh, she's so upset that her daddy's not home. Mini rhinos, they are. They're hard to kill, and they're made for the long haul. Bless their hearts. I've always wanted one of the old vintage mounts, but I would never do the taxidermy on one myself today, because a lot of them carry leprosy. It's just something that they're, for some reason, they just carry it. It's just the genetic predisposition, and if they can pack it around, they will. And when they're tested, it's found very prominent within them. So I would never do the taxidermy on one today, but I would certainly buy an old vintage mount and have one in my house. It's actually one of the mounts that I don't have that I'd really like to have. I'd like to have a springbok head, and I would like to have maybe a little bush buck, and I'd like to have an armadillo. I'd also like to have a possum hanging from its tail with its little hand out like that. I saw one time in a taxidermy competition and thought it was just cute as could be, but they're pretty expensive, so. I could charge admission to my house right now with that taxidermy I have it anyway. It's probably not a bad idea, actually. Maybe it's a side hustle. I'm going to have to start thinking of these side hustles, because God knows I can't start a daycare. My mouth won't let me. But then again, when they interview those people at those daycares, they were hateful heifers. Like, would you have left your child with any of them women that opened that door? I mean, what's the saying in the South is she's sweet, sugar won't stick to her. And it don't mean that she's sweet. It means that we know she's evil. That's why she has to act sweet. And that's what I thought when those women was answering the door. And I was like, I wouldn't leave a dog I didn't like with y'all. Let alone a kid. No, see, That's what I thought. I thought, who is leaving their child there? Because I would be like, no, I'm sorry. Or I would be like, did you yell at what? Excuse you. Rephrase that, because they were just aggressive. And I was like, who is that aggressive immediately alive? I don't, and if somebody, they said, well, he had a cameraman. Well, I'm going to be even nicer if you have a cameraman. I'm going to at least play the situation out before I have to make a decision. I'm not just going to come off as a gruff, old, hateful thing. But I wouldn't have left nothing with them people. I was like, it's been really funny, in the old days when all those, like around the 90s and the 2000s, every playground that they built in communities had a pirate ship that had to play. It'd be really inappropriate. It would be funny if like one of those up there had a playground with a pirate ship, because, Somalia is known to be pirates. I mean, the biggest business opportunity in Somalia is to pirate, to take advantage of people and manipulate it. I mean, that's what they do. Like it's like 3/4 or more of the population. That's what they do. No one's gainfully employed. But it would just be like the little cherry on top for me. I'd be like, at least they were sarcastic about it. I could respect that. I could respect a little in your face moment. I'd be like, see, they told you. Yeah, I would just be like, I saw what you did there. I can respect the sarcasm. I mean, that would be a big haughty level, but I'd be like, oh, Lord, have mercy. Anyway, that's where my brain's been. I don't look at anything very seriously anymore. I sass about it. I squabble about it. I laugh about it. I feel bad about it when people do lose their lives, though. I mean, especially in just stupid ways. It's sad. It's sad because no one's learning anything from this. That's the even sadder part. But I can't change it. Like I can't run my hand up somebody's hind end and play them like a puppet. Where all the evil in the world would stop, and we'd all of a sudden everyone be doing the YMCA. I mean, we'd be doing the Macarena. We'd be doing something funny, But I really honestly sometimes think that some of the people that are polarized left really do think that if they put enough Vaseline on their hand, they can just stick it wherever they want to. And I think that's going to be a really hard lesson for them. It's turning out to be one the few times they've had to learn it lately. And I don't know, I don't know if we've gotten to a place to where the lessons that need to be learned are ever going to be learned. That we're just going to continually bump heads until it turns to a crap pile and we stampede. That's I'm afraid that's where we are. But I live by the policy in life that I'm going to give, I'm only going to give my attention to people. I ask myself, if somebody gets up in my business and wants my time and energy, I sit back and I go, would I wipe their hind end? Because if I'm about to crawl all over them, that's basically what they're trying to manipulate me to do, is get up in their business and perform a task that will, justify them to say, I'm the Lord over you. No, I wouldn't wipe your hind end. I'm not going. She's off the list. And I just go on about my day. And I really do look at people and go, no, I wouldn't wipe their hind end. Nope. And it stops me immediately. And I'm just like, oh, I go on about my day. And the list is real short. And I think it keeps me pretty level. And I think if people would ask themselves, before I get in a fight with that person, would I wipe their butt? Some people just need to say, do I want to shower naked in a room full of glass windows so that every officer in the correctional facility can make sure I'm not doing something bad? Do I want to take open air poops in a glass box? Ask yourself these things, it will deter a lot of people if you just ask them these point blank questions. But nobody ever gets asked the hard questions. We're just all LARPing and being pansies with each other. And then when the crap hits the fan, we go, why did you have real bullets? Because life's supposed to be fake, apparently. Sad. It's just sad. It's sad. Not necessary. The whole thing could have been avoided. There were 500,000 better places for people to be that day. And the sad thing is that they call these people murderers. But most of the people that these agents are picking up are people that have like criminal careers, that have like open warrants in their nations that they came from, that can be extradited back. Their nation wants to punish them, or they've came here and they've done more heinous acts. So while they'll yell at the ICE agents for getting attacked and responding that way, but they'll protect people that came here and have had like whole entire lives of crime. And I'm like, you do know that if you ask for the people that came here illegally that don't have good intentions to have your back, they're not. They're going to take advantage of you first chance they get. And I just wonder when society got that gullible. I had a dog in my yard this morning I didn't know. I now know who it belongs to, what vet it sees, how old it is, if it got its boosters this year. Because this is my property, and it's fenced, and it found a way in. And I need to know who to go, get your dog. If you want it to come home, get it now. Because they like to come around here and cause problems. And, but people that will just go LARP with less knowledge than I have about a dog that was in my yard this morning, think about it for 5 seconds, people. Think about it. Use your brain. Exactly. My list is very short, too. I know, like, if it's a dog I know, I'll call and be your dog got loose, or your dog was, your dog got my fence, can't find his way back out. And, we're pretty good neighbors around here. We know fences make good, good neighbors, and our dogs don't go in we keep our dogs up. And I don't have an outdoor dog. I have this little epileptic female that I have to parent. But if a big, like, pit, cur, brindle, cross looking thing comes up in my yard, and when I yell, go on, get, it growls at me, I have to put it to the top of the list to remove. Because it came to my property, and I gave it a chance, and it reacted with anger. We're not friends. Check. Point received. I normally make a list and call and be like, this dog was on my property, blah, 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 blah. Well, that dog's been everywhere here the last week or two. They said, yeah, we've gotten like 15 calls on that dog. Yeah, it's aggressive. Yeah. And I said, well, why haven't y'all done something about it? We don't have a humane society. We don't have ASPCA. I said, you got a pew-pew. It'd chase somebody's kid. Hello, rogue animal. Go put it down. And literally the officer's like, well, as it comes back, you just take care of it. I don't want to, because then I have to do cleanup on all 8. I would rather you take care of this. And that's another problem with our world. Nobody that's supposed to take care of nothing does it the right way. And it's just like, I'm trying to do the right thing here. And no one else cares. It's like, bleh. So, but yeah, if a dog comes into my little domain here, after I've done everything in the world to keep them out, and they growl at me, you made an enemy. Adios. So I'm not even gonna play with them. Very particular about the dogs being on my property. We got a lot of rogue wild dogs here. They're dangerous. They've killed 2 people in the last 10 years. No, thank you. I ain't playing that game. I'd be a big meal, and I don't intend to be. So, no, thank you. Well, I'm going to shut up because David should be home soon. If Booma's on tonight, go support Booma. Sabrina's having last I talked to her, was having a good vacation week, doing fun things, doing artsy-fartsy things, was in a good mood, was in a good mental space, was crafting. And I've had cluster migraine, so I've not checked on her. I've just let her know I'm in migraine land. And when I get David through whatever we're doing, I'll suffer through it. It'll be fine. But I've got to get him through because I think he's fixing to get real sick on me. So give us a couple days. But he's still got the Etsy shop up. I don't know exactly what's left in there. If there's not a possum ad on there, I still do have some possums. I think there's one possum with international shipping on there. And, buddy, we don't like international shipping. So that was a big win for me to say, hey, somebody might want an international possum. He put one ad on there. I think it's still got three more to go. And I don't care to make those. If I can get to feeling better and run to Walmart or do a Walmart order where they bring it to me, I don't care to make more possums. I like making possums. But I'm fixing to get really busy with the next round, next year's jewelry for Dave, because he's almost got the bones ready for me, and next year's rattles and ceremonial sticks. And so he put up one more Dreamcatcher ad. Probably be the last one I do, honestly, because I'm fixing to have to go into tribal mode, and the things that the tribes buy from me in April, they don't buy from me, they buy from David, but the things that they look for and they want, I like to really put a lot of heart and time into those. So I will kind of pull away and make those starting probably at the end of this month through the hard part of the winter. March is always the worst month for us here. I don't know why, but March sucks here on the mountain. It's bad. So I'm fixing to have to kind of pull away and do my tribal stuff, my tribal art, because that means a lot to me to have them actually used in the council houses and retired to the chief's quarters and stuff. That means a lot to me. If you want like specific bone stuff, you can just message David on Etsy and ask him, I'm looking for this. Jen's have it. I make a lot. Like last year, I made like over 200 pieces of jewelry just out of boredom in the winter because we were snowed in all winter. Y'all, last winter sucked. And I know that he's still got quite a bit of that. And I'm fixing to hit the jewelry hard again because he's got a lot of bones that are the last round of sanitization. It just seems how sick he is this week depends on if I start in like a week and a half or a little bit later. But it's Hillbilly Heart Decor on Etsy if you want to go, and you can always just ask him. It costs money to put each ad up, and it's like he had. Well, Booma messaged him this morning, asked him if we had something, and we did. And so David was like, I'll double check inventory when I get home, and then I'll, put an ad up for you. So we have lots of stuff. It's just, those ads cost money, each one does. And he holds on to a lot of stuff for his festivals and stuff. But like if you specifically want something, just ask him. And if we've got it, he'll say, yeah, I'll put you an ad up. He doesn't mind to do that. But I always craft in the dead of winter. It keeps me busy and it keeps me from being miserable because I'm stuck in the house more because I don't walk well, hence breaking my foot. I lose my ability to walk well in the winter. This disorder sucks. So I do just a lot of sit down crafting to keep me mentally going. So, but I'm fixing to hit the tribal stuff, the native stuff really hot and heavy. So I'm going to pull away from the crochet and stuff for a while. So if you want something, this is like the last week and a half call, I better get it in. Because I'm going to have to lock down and focus on other things. You can always yell at David. And if I'm in a spot, because a lot of people say, can you do this? Can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I can do it. I don't care a bit to make something. I've gotten to where I pretty much do my own patterns anyway, so I've learned enough skills now. I hodgepodge my own animals together. But David, I wish he would be more aggressive with the Etsy store. He just works so many hours, and then he's trapping so many hours, and he kind of lays back on it, and he'll get his fur done, and he'll kind of hang on it thinking festivals. And I'm like, oh, sell it on Etsy. You can make more money on Etsy. But he likes to go to the festivals. Of course, he's got people that come meet him at certain festivals each year, and they want to buy, bulk items for mitts, or, a lot of people in Alaska want him to make, winter outerwear. And so he likes to hold some back for them. And then he's like, well, that's just leaves me this, and this. And he won't know how to market it, or be like, it's so, weird that nobody will want it. He doesn't, like I can put macabre and oddity and curiosity and tag everything, and somebody will look at it and be like, I knew that. But he doesn't understand that. So he's not as aggressive as I am with the Etsy side, but he's learning. He's learning. My foot is healing better than we thought it would. It doesn't really hurt a lot when I walk on it, unless I try to pivot, or I do a certain roll off of it right now, and I'm just kind of trying not to do that right now. It's still got some bruises that are trying to work out. I broke right under the ball, up under the toe, and so it's not like a huge break. It's just in a very inconvenient place. So I've been able to sleep the last couple of nights without it bothering me, but then I've had migraines with the weather changing, so it's crapshoot right now. But winter is not ever nice to me, so I'm just we're just going to get through it. Just going to keep going. It'll be spring soon. And if that groundhog sees his shadow, we'll be having groundhog pot roast. Because I don't like winter. I want spring to get here. So, but yeah, just a bad break. Just a stupid. Didn't step right. Got my foot in a bind. Went down and just hyperflexed and caught the ball of my foot where it couldn't get out, move. I was able to twist myself to what my knee would bend, so that it wasn't going to push my knee back, or I would have done way more harm when I slid back down the stairs. That was because after I fell, then I ungracefully slid back down the stairs, and you could just see that on my face, yeah, of course. But the way it hyperflexed it caught, pushed, and hyperflexed it just broke right in there. So, but I'm doing okay. That's one place I never have broken my toe before, though. So, because most of my toes have been broken by cattle or horses. Occupational hazard. Yeah, stairs are, I hate stairs. I hate stairs. I hate stairs, and I hate ladders. And even if it's just like a step ladder, I'm like, because my feet don't always work the way my brain, I send the signal, but it don't get there, or it gets there too late. And so I'm just like, I know I'm going to do something stupid every winter because I don't think about it, because I get to where I'm more mobile in the summer, and then when the weather starts to hit, my body will just crap out on me, and I'm like, it always catches me when I'm not thinking. So, and I just had to run outside to take a picture of that big coyote, because I was like, don't skin it. I want to take a picture before you skin it, because it was gorgeous. And there I went. I wasn't thinking. And what happens when big girls with bad knees and multiple surgeries and neuromuscular disorders don't think? Well, we fall. And I'm not graceful. I'm not graceful at all. And it's like in slow motion. I can see myself falling, and I have the time in my head to think, well, crap, this looks real good. But it's what it is. I'm telling you, and it's just one of those things that you just have to, there's really nothing they can do for a lot of breaks in the foot. You just have to let it heal. And that's where I'm at. It's just got to heal. And I'm hobbling around. I have gotten to where I can walk well enough that it's not throwing the rest of my hips and back out. So that's good. Did you get your dolly? Oh, I thought you went and got your dolly. Go get your dolly. I made her a dolly. And she thought that was the biggest trick in the book. She knows her daddy's going to be home any minute, and she's getting out of sorts. But yeah, broken foot is like the worst thing, because it's just lots of things they can't fix. It's just going to mend. So, and with my disorder, they really wouldn't fix a lot anyway. They'd just be like, don't touch it. Let it heal however it wants to. And so I really hadn't even, I had that EKG the next week, so I didn't even go into the ER. I just waited till next week. And then she took off my sock, and she goes, yeah, we're going to x-ray that. And I was like, okay. She was like, and you've been okay? And I'm like, eh. He asked me about life lately. Yeah, you just got to kind of go, well, it's just going to have to do his thing and, be careful with it and go on. So I wasn't really worried about it. I had other things to worry about. And it looked really bad, though. It was like a green, blue, gray. And there's still like 3 blue, black spots that working out. And I'm like, man, I broke that good. But I had like all my weight behind it. So bless its heart. No. All right, I'm going to take her out so she can see that he's not here because she thinks he's home. And y'all have a good night. Watch Booma's streams. He's been having some really good dialogue on his streams lately. And I've been sick and not been as present as I should be. But as soon as I feel better, I'll be back. But go and if you've missed him, go and watch him. Yeah, you might not agree with certain people that are saying stuff, but you're going to get a lot of gems in a lot of those people that come on and talk. And there's been a lot of gems in the last few discussions he's had. So if you've not had a chance, especially the guy talking about the weather, go watch that one. The Freemason one was really good too because it's a lot of stuff just point blank that people don't know. But the one with the guy that was talking about the weather was just a whole great episode. That was great. It was a really good one. So go and watch it. I'm glad I got to chew the fat with you. I'm going to finish things up, and y'all see me when David is better. When boy gets sick, he gets sick bad. So I'm expecting it to be a few hard days. So I'll check in with you as I can, and I'll post a picture of the love cat when I get it done. Take care of yourselves. Don't do things stupid, and ask yourself before you join in, would I wipe the run in? Could save your life. All right. Bye, guys. You want to go outside? Go get your coffee.